Hello.
Welcome to the Bible Study Girl podcast. This is Sarita, but I'm also known as Bible Study Girl, and I'm just a girl with something to offer the world. The fabulous hello that you heard when you first tuned in is the executive producer of this podcast, Bible Study Brother.
It is I, Bible Study Brother, but I am also known as Icarus Gray over at Gray Area Anime. And this is the most wonderful podcast of your day. But as my sister likes to say, she and I are actual brother and sister who came out the same way.
Not at the same time, though, because we're not
at the same
twins.
time. We're not twins.
Yeah, we're not
just
twins.
The same way, same person, that kind of thing.
Right. I was going to say, did we come out the same way? But we did. It could have been different, but it wasn't. It was the same.
Was it?
Yeah, welcome. It was.
I'm asking because I was like, you wasn't early or nothing. I was like, I didn't hear nothing about you being early.
No, but there's more than one way for a baby to come out.
Yeah. No. I got that part. Okay, sorry guys.
We're on the same page.
We're same page. Same way, same page.
So that's just a taste of what you get in this podcast. Listen, we love the Lord, and also we are who we are. Amen.
Amen.
Brother, how's your week been going?
A little bit better than last week.
Okay.
Trying to, build some stuff up, build some confidence. Trust in the Lord. I will trust in the Lord is where I'm at. But how are you, sister?
My week is going great. Praise report. I told you that I've been more focused on my health and doing better and working out. And
so you have the same kind of praise report I got from your mother? Go ahead. I want to hear.
Oh, you did talk to Mama today.
I did, and she told me something, and I was like,
"Oh, yeah." We both have the same kind of praise report. I was dreading getting on the scale because, I know my eating hasn't been perfect. Like I've been more intentional about what I'm eating. I'm not eating out really, cooking all of my food. But with that being said, like this past weekend, I made. Oh, I didn't tell you this. So I made. The Jackson lemon jumble cookies.
I almost forgot what podcast we're on. I almost said to you what I normally say to you in situations where you cause me utter excitement.
Okay, so listen. So I had said to myself, because I haven't been eating 100%, so I was like, I like sweets, right? But instead of me going to the store and buying some cookies, if I want some cookies, I need to make them. I need to literally take the time to make them, because what happens is after I'm finished cooking and cleaning and putting everything up,
you're not as hungry.
I'm not as hungry.
And you can actually just taste and be done. It's the chef's curse. It's the chef's curse, bro.
It is correct. So, and then I'm like, okay, so I was really craving some Jackson's lemon jumble cookies. So I looked up a whole bunch of different recipes on the internet, and I landed on one particular recipe or whatever. I'm in there juicing lemons, zesting lemons, the whole nine. Did they taste like Jackson lemon jumble cookies? No, but I'm coining them Fulcher lemon jumble cookies. Amen. They were good.
How close do you feel you got? What do you probably feel like it was too lemony and didn't have the right balance?
No, it wasn't enough lemon. Even with me juicing,
really?
Right? Even with me using freshly squeezed lemon juice.
There's you making me think food stuff, but there's a citrate or something like that. I'll text you because that normally helps
brings the punch.
Yeah.
But the thing is, even though the actual just cookies, but then I made a glaze. The recipe had a glaze to go on top of them with real lemon juice. Now that had the zing and the zest. The cookies were delicious. They did not taste like Jackson's lemon jumble. I renamed them Fulcher lemon jumble cookies. I will be making them again and tweaking them and trying to get. I think I need more lemon zest in them to give me more burst and pop. Anyway, so there is a point to my story. I'm going to get to my first report. So I've been more intentional about doing things like that um, to help with my cravings and all that. So I wasn't really pumped about the weigh in because I'm like, I've been living life. Like I've been making different choices, but I've been living life. I've been working out real hard, but the food thing. And so she was like, "You not excited to weigh in?" I'm like, "No, because I've been eating." And she was like, "Well, what's
Mm-hmm.
really going to tell off on you is like your waist measurements.
Mm-hmm.
You've been doing good with eating. Like your pounds may not have gone down as much as you want them to, but if you've been doing good with eating, you're going to see a significant difference in your waist." I lost 4 inches off of my waist. I was super pumped about that. I lost inches everywhere on my body, like, but my waist was the one that
I
was
remember when we
like,
learned it because we learned it from what's our lady?
Miss Phyllis.
Thank you,
Miss Phyllis.
thank you. Because I remember like being like, oh, so that's how we'll know. Okay.
Right. So I'm doing great. Like what I'm doing is working. I just need to. I've been super busy. Like today has been a very long day for us. Well, for me personally, we're recording much later than we typically could record or would record. But my life has been so hectic lately with juggling working out and my jobs and all of that. So anyway, my week, all in all, has been good.
Good.
Uh, trying some new things. But yeah, great week. So, do you have the scripture for us today?
Of course I do. We are coming from Ephesians chapter 5, verse 1. Therefore, be imitators of God as beloved children, and walk in love as Christ loved us and gave himself up for us as a a fragrant offering and sacrifice to God. Now the rest of Ephesians goes into some stuff. They was out here wilding. So it just it veers off to like, you know, be like this because y'all out here with sexual immorality and all this other stuff. Da, 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 da. But I thought that was a great thing today because of the blog post that you're going to tell them a little bit about, and you're going to tell them about our blog recap and how it usually works. Because this might be your first time listening, so we always make sure that we give you a little update as to why we do this. But the long and short of it, before she gets to explaining the blog post, is it comes from biblestudygirl.com, where you can see blog posts. I'm not going to say every day like I used to, but you can see blog posts fairly frequently. You have enough blog posts to get you through 4 years of content. Just trust me on that. But anyway, go ahead.
Right. So, if Black Bible Study Brother said, if this is your first time, we do blog recaps. I started writing blogs in 2019 over at biblestudygirl.com. And so every now and then we will pluck one of those blogs and discuss it in greater detail. Today's blog is entitled Coloring in the Lines. If you have not had the opportunity to read it for yourself, you can head over to biblestudygirl.com. There is a magnifying glass in the upper right-hand corner. Just tap on that and type in the words coloring in the lines. And this blog post will pop up, as will this particular podcast episode you're listening to. The
Mm-hmm.
pictures are the same, so you just need to look for the one that does not have a press play button. And I'll let you know that you are in the right place, you are in the right spot. And so, how we do recaps around here is Bible Study Brother gives you a general overview of what the blog was about. He lets you know the important things that stuck out for him, the things that made an impact on him. And then after he finishes his recap, I'll let you guys know how I felt at the time that I wrote the blog and published it. And then I'll let you know if my views have differed from the time that I actually wrote the blog post. Today's blog post comes from November 2019, so it's over 4 years old. That's a long time ago. So it will be interesting to discuss my different perspectives. And I do my very best not to interrupt him while he is speaking. That is a skill that I am working on. I have not yet mastered. And I think our blog recaps often lead us to have some very interesting conversations. You know, I it's not my turn to speak. So I will let you take it away, Bible study brother, and just give us the general overview of what this particular blog post is about. Coloring in the Lines is the title.
Okay, guys, we're going to start with Bible study brothers favorite excerpt from the blog post, which is a new thing that I'm starting because when my sister's in her bag, she just be in her bag. I'm not going to tell you where this is from in the blog post because you got to go and read it. And I'll give you a little explanation of it after I read this post.
Oh, well, let me say this too. The reason I always encourage people to go read it for themselves is because just because that's what Bible study brother got out of it doesn't mean that's what you're going to get out of it. There could be something different in the blog post that speaks to you. So that's why I always encourage people to go read it for themselves. I always think it's really interesting too to hear people's different perspectives about different blog posts and the things that stick out to them the most. So that's why I always encourage you to head over to biblestudygirl.com and check it out for yourself. All right, brother, let's hear this excerpt that you feel like needs to be pulled from the blog.
Let's go. Oh, you hear the chimes. There are times when it's appropriate to help someone color their picture, when it's okay to color outside the lines. But there are so many times when we need to focus on the masterpiece that is our lives, when we need to concentrate on perfecting our ability to color our own picture. Listen, guys. Okay, calm down with the applause. Listen. Calm down. So the blog post is my sister works with young children, and often to have fun, we color. There'll be coloring things, and she goes from the perspective of talking about how that is also a representation of how we can over focus and under focus and all these different things about it, because they used to make you got to color inside the lines for whatever reason, because they were trying to teach you certain things, but also some people just don't color in the lines. Anyway, spiritually, it talks about just coloring within God's way. And sometimes it's not going to look like you coloring in the line. Sometimes it is, but you just are focusing on what he's asked you to do. And I read that excerpt because it's just like one of those moments where it's like sometimes he's asking you to do this. Sometimes he's asking you to be there the same way. It could be a prime example. Sometimes he might be asking you to join a ministry in the church. Sometimes he's asking you to step outside of that ministry and go out to people, to go and disciple to people. Sometimes he's asking you to disciple at work. Sometimes he wants you to pray more and focus on a stronghold or something that's bugging you and pushing you in a place to where you can't get a closer relationship with him. And much like with this podcast, we show that your testimony is showing that all of us color differently. And this is blessed and beloved by the God who created us, which is why we encourage people to come and tell their stories, to come out and color, to come out and do these things, to just express your life. Your life is valuable. It matters. You are enough. You are special, all of those things. And you are a bridge point that can help somebody find the freedom or meet God. Now, he also, and sometimes he ain't going to wait for you always, because anything he's asked you to do, there is somebody else that can do certain things in certain regards. Not to and I'm saying this with the caveat of I'm not saying that to make you feel like, oh, okay, well, everybody gives up on me at some point. Because I know personally that in that wording, that can be a trigger for me as well. But I'm saying that as when he asks you to do something, there's a significant purpose as to why it was you and why it needs to be you. So don't take that for granted. But yeah, that's what I got from it. It's just, I love the blog post, and it was one of the ones that I went and read by myself because I was like, I remember this.
Oh, congratulations. And he's saying that because when I first started publishing these blog posts, this joker would not read them, which is perfectly fine. I'm not a person that I feel like everybody in my family has to support what I got going on because it may not be for you. But he will be the main one, like, oh my gosh, it's so good. And I'm like, this man ain't read it. And I'll be like, but have you? No, but I just know. You know what I'm saying?
And
I,
I've not been wrong. I still ain't wrong. I'm still not wrong.
I wouldn't say that you were wrong, brother, but I'm like, I know this man. He has not read a single blog post, but I'm glad that is one that tickled your fancy and caught your interest back in the day. So let's talk about how I felt at the time that I originally published this blog in November of 2019.
Mhm.
So I started writing and publishing blogs in September of 2019. So at this point, October, November, we are 2 months in. Now, mind you, when I started writing the blog posts, I had no idea that I would be writing them every day for years. That was not in my head. I thought it would be a much shorter season. So at this point in the blog, I am really having to rely on what am I doing every day? How can I apply this? How can I write about this? What is important about what I have going on? And like Bible study brother mentioned, I work with children, primarily preschoolers, but I have some teenagers, like it's preschool to teenage for the most part. Well, I say preschool, birth to teenage anyway, because I have some littles. So one thing that I did quite frequently at that point in time was a lot of coloring. I'm big on coloring. Let me tell you, this is a side story, but I can still remember to this day sitting with my mom and coloring my mom when I was like 4 or 5. And my mom has always been an awesome colorer. And I remember,
Awesome about everything because even her writing is like
oh,
calligraphy, and
her
it's
writing
so
is
weird.
beautiful.
It's
It
so
is
weird.
gorgeous. And so imagine being a little girl and you're coloring with your mom, right? Shout out to mama for being willing to color with me. And like,
Hmm.
I don't know. It's just, she's a good mom. So we're sitting there coloring and I'm watching her. I'm watching her because my mom colors. The first thing she does is she outlines whatever she's going to color with that crayon. So she does the outline first and then she shades it in. And so that's how I color now because I always thought, oh my gosh, her pictures look so good. If only my picture could look like my mommy's picture. Like, I really want that because it's just so pretty and like mine just doesn't look as good as hers. And so when I think about coloring and I think that has influenced the way that I color with my little people in my life. Like, I encourage them to be original and do whatever they want to do. And we do talk about boundaries and lines and like trying to stay in the lines. I mean, it's okay if you go outside the lines, there's nothing wrong with that. But like sometimes you have to color in the lines. You kids are crazy, right? So that
Not
I
you
encourage
kids are crazy.
encourage a little bit of both. But so at this point in my life, when I'm coloring with these kids, I'm thinking about wow, because when I wrote this um, blog, um, I was attending. the classes for boundaries. Bible study brother and I took the last half of 2023 to discuss the boundaries book in great detail. And you can tell when you read the blog that I'm really just at the beginning stages of boundaries and figuring out what's appropriate, what's not appropriate. Can I color outside of this line and go into somebody else's business? And so I was still figuring that out, right, at the time that I wrote the blog. But I can tell just from reading it that I wasn't too deep into it because sister still had a lot to learn from the boundaries book, the boundaries class, and just really what healthy boundaries look like just overall in life, in a spiritual way, and just overall in life, right? So that's where I was at the time I wrote the blog. Like I just told you, Bible Study Brother and I just spent the last half of 2023, literally the last
Oh
six
Lord,
months,
just
the last 6 months of the
Jesus.
the last 6 months of the year going through the boundaries book chapter by chapter. And I think that is just such a great indication of the growth that I had from the time that I was going through this boundaries book from the second time to present day. I've been through the boundaries book 3 times. Am I perfect? Absolutely not. Funny enough, mom and I were just having a conversation about boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
And I was telling her, like, well, that's not your place. Like, that's not something you personally even need to, it's not your business. Like, it's not. Any way you slice it, it's not your business. The Lord will do whatever he needs to do, but that's not your business, sis. And she's like, I know. And I'm going to try real hard
Mm-hmm.
not to get in it. Because I'm like, Ma, you are causing yourself aggravation, and that's not your place. It's not your yard. It's not your responsibility. Um, and it really just reminded me that I am just like with the example I told you about how I watched her color and I wanted to be like her. It reminds me so much of where I get so many of my crossing over the line and
Mm-hmm.
oh no, I'm gonna make this right. And
Mm-hmm.
it also reminded me how much I have to be vigilant and I have to stay on top of that. And I have to keep reminding myself of what's healthy, what's good, what's right, what's appropriate. So it's encouraging for me to see Sarita 4 years ago at the beginning of a real true boundary journey and comparing that Sarita to the Sarita that I am today. Not perfect, but definitely progressing and in a much better place mentally because I have established healthier boundaries. Like I said, it's not perfect, but I've definitely come a long way. I've said it every time we've done a blog recap, but it really is true. I have been so blessed by writing the blog and then being able to come back and revisit. It never fails. No matter what blog we're recapping,
Mm-hmm.
it's pertinent to my life right now today. Like, I didn't know which blog we were recapping today when I was having that conversation. But the God I serve knew, like, hey, girl, you need some reminders. You gonna let me be who I am? Amen. Amen. So yeah, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the podcast. I'm grateful for every blog recap, like I said. And I really hope that it helps other people when they read the blog, that my living won't have been in vain. That's it.
Nice. Um. Yeah. This was a good blog. Like most times we have like these long, antiquated, just spirit be rapturing up in us, like thoughts. But this one was very poignant. I do have questions though.
Okay.
So like mid boundaries, post boundaries,
Mhm.
post second or third time going through boundaries actually.
Yeah, this is my
Uh
third. Well, that was my third. Yeah.
what do you think like about where you were versus now? Oh, you get what I'm saying?
Again, I would say I'm so proud of where I was at that point in time.
Mhm.
And it really was amplified for me today. Like I said, when I look at how much I look to mama
Mhm.
as a guide for what I should do.
Mhm.
So I'm so proud of the girl that started that journey again, 4 years ago, second time around. I'm going to do this journey again and to see the growth from that girl to the girl that I am today, that's a big deal to me. It might not be a big deal to other people, but I hold my mama in high esteem. I think most people do hold their parents in high esteem, but to be able to get to a point where I can do something that's different from what she's doing
Mhm.
and I feel bad about it, that's a big deal to me. Not saying, do you know what I'm saying? Like to
Yeah, I
be able
mean,
to,
same. Like, uh, even as you're mentioning this, I mean, same thing with you. Like, I watched you, so I watched you. I watched Mama. Uh, Probably would have watched my other parental had he been there more often, but and yeah, I watched
oh,
in certain ways. But anyway,
I got a funny story for you.
I bet. Though shout out praise report to that. He has text people more often. He's been texting Kanae a little bit more. Uh he texts
Me
me every
too.
day. And so I'm gonna give praise report to that. I don't think he'll ever listen to this. Don't care either way. But uh, but if you so happen to, shout outs to you for
Yeah,
growth.
I am. I'm encouraged by that. We had us a great discussion not too long ago via text message. So yeah. Um, but yeah, so when I look at who I was 4 years ago, who I am now, I am proud of the growth, um, and the stretching of my wings and being able to do what's best for me mentally so that I can be healthy, you know,
I like
so
that.
that I can be healthy and then not letting it used to would really bother me if people didn't do what I said to do. You
Mhm.
know what I mean?
Oh no, no,
Like,
yes, I do know
I
what you
know
mean.
you know. Um, but now I can just say it and then move on. Even if she, decides to do whatever, it's not going to affect me like it would have,
Back in the day.
even 4 years ago. Yeah, I would be like, well, I think I have more grace for not only for myself, but for other people. I have more grace because we're not always gonna get it right. Um, but it really is about doing the best you can with what you know and walking in that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's good. And thinking
Yeah,
about
I think
that and just, huh?
go ahead.
Well, just thinking about it from that perspective of learning that, like learning that people have eyes on you, learning that people are watching you. It's funny even mentioning that earlier, but it's just like you watched Mama, I watched you, and therefore, you also don't know how somebody's watching you. So for you, a lot of times, the reason you and Mama never believe that I'm like, oh, I watched you, is because I didn't do the exact thing that you did. And it's like, no, I watched. It's just this is what I took from it. I didn't necessarily take this. And then, like, I saw it, but it looked so magical and mystical. Like, you looked at Mama's drawing and was like, oh, I can do that. Oh, I want to do that. I would have looked at your drawing and been like, oh my God, that is freaking amazing. And freaking impossible for me. What is the point of trying this? I'm not trying that. I'll try something else, and I'll get just as good at this and be happy with it.
Isn't it interesting
Yeah.
how, I mean, I know everybody has different personalities, but we definitely tackle things in completely different ways. That's real interesting to me. We grow up in the same house and we tackle things completely different ways.
Yeah, like my biggest thing is always like with rapping, it was something with rapping and writing, right? Once my grandmother pushed me over the finish line of even learning how to read, it was a wrap because all I did was watch people. So reading and reading comprehension was easy for me. Therefore, then rap is easy to me because that ain't nothing but an extension of all this other stuff that I'm doing in the first place. So it was the first and one of the few things that I knew I could just do. I also know that I could act like my sister, and that's just, it is what it is. Like, yeah, I didn't get the same opportunities, but I never once thought, nah, I ain't on that level. Like, I'm like, nah, I know how to do this. Like, and that was one of the things that I think acting is one of those things that was forced into me versus like, and I just built that talent up, and then I can add all the other things that I do in there.
Mm-hmm.
When you talk to me about my ability to just, like, if I say, hey, I want to do an episode about apples, I most times don't have to do no research because that's not really where I work from. Because I was pushed into stuff. You just out there, you doing it. Like, yeah, learning lines or doing whatever. Like, two things that stick out to me in this regard. And then I think it was one more funny story that I was thinking about with this coloring in the line stuff, but I can't remember it, guys, which is weird. But anyway, the two examples I'm going to give you guys was one, in my second grade play, my mom, my sister, and my dad all made me like sick with how they were pushing me through with my lines, much like we mentioned with Bible Study Mama and her Christmas play over the holidays. That, my sister has always been a drill sergeant when it comes to things that she is passionate about, especially within the performing arts. And so in second grade, I had to keep coming in and out of our, like, the bedroom to the living room, like doing the entrance, like we were working through it. It would like blocking and everything else in terms of me doing these lines. In my mind, this book was like 30 pages, 50 pages. I think it was like maybe 10 or 12. It wasn't that many. Like, because I remember like finding it and being like, huh, this was not what I remembered. But it was that. And then when Roger and Hammerstein's Cinderella got the ABC treatment, which we've recently talked about, not you and I, but me and Kane, about how impactful that was. Because this is off of her. She's only got one album out before she does this. Like,
Brandy.
Yeah, I don't think Moesha has even started. But anyway, that's a whole nother side story. Maybe one of these days we'll talk about R&B in the church. But we had that recorded or purchased. Probably, I feel like it was recorded.
Probably purchased because recording didn't work how you're thinking it did back in the day. We probably had it purchased.
No. We did do some of that too. You and I had stuff that we recorded so we could watch it again.
We did, but I don't think this was. I feel like this was something. Mama always bought all the.
But this one, I can't remember because this is like really early when they were doing that, and it was so like revolutionary for the time. But anyway, long story, even longer. My sister enjoyed this so much that we had to do the same thing we did with the play, which means she was run this VHS. I would have to sing my parts, even though my parts were not as fun because I had to sing.
It was the dude.
I had to be the prince, and the prince wasn't he was a performing Broadway singer, so it just wasn't fun. There were no runs or anything to learn. Like Brandy's, all her parts was fun. Like
Oh
I just
man.
wanted to sing, be in my own
Time
little
of my
corner
life. Do you hear me? I know those songs to this
to
day.
this day.
Uh, Let me put a pin in this and say kids can find a way to entertain themselves. Our parents did not have to
Oh yeah.
entertain us. You know why? Because I
We
was
was
the
going
captain of the ship.
she was the captain of the ship, and we was gonna do whatever she felt like doing.
And when I say all day rehearsals,
No, and
I mean
like
all
then
day.
performed it for them.
And then performed it. Like, we're not just doing this
Like no,
just
it wasn't
like
a like
no, it's
I,
5, 6, 7, 8. You come across the room, you get slow. Play the
dog,
track again.
I even feel like we performed this for grandma, which I'm pretty sure
I
we
know we
did.
did.
I know we
I
did.
know we
I know we
did.
did.
We did. I know we did.
uh,
God bless her. Because I would be like, if these kids don't quit all this singing and hollering and run across
man,
the room, it was
listen.
great.
But
You know all those songs to this day. You're welcome.
yeah, I do. We was just listening to him. We went to see the Thorn in Seattle last week, and I didn't know what we were going to see, but I knew we were going to see a performance. So I was like, since we're going to see a performance, boom, and I played that on the way up there, and it just made everybody happy because it was a key memory for everybody in the car. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
the sweetest sound I'll ever know.
We might have a special guest that can talk to us about R&B in the church.
We might. That would be great.
Yeah.
That would be great.
We might have a special guest. I don't know. We might. I'll see what I can do.
The reveal episode.
No, it might be our first time having some live instrumentation in the studio. I'll see what I
that'd be
can do.
fun. You can work
I
on
think it will be.
Mm-hmm. And there are
Anyway,
stories and things we can tell as well. So let's focus on the Lord. I wanna tell you guys, we love you, we care about you, you are important. I'll be saying that a lot because after we did our Valentine's Day episode, which you guys should have heard at some point.
Yeah, it dropped a couple of Saturdays ago for them. Yeah.
Okay.
It dropped a couple of Saturdays ago. I did not do the promo and I need to do promo for it.
Okay. But yeah, I've started to do this thing where I'm just gonna remind you, you are beloved. You are important. You were thought about even before you got here. No matter the circumstances, you are worth it. You are enough. And remember, guys, it is not just I or you that preach, but we preach.
And until we meet again, guys, keep preaching.